Hey everyone, this is Rachel and I am here today with another process video. Now today I am using my Wild Hare Kit, which I bought a deluxe kit back in about, I want to say October of 2017. I did make a video for it. If I can remember, maybe I'll remember to link it up in the description box below. So I am going to be scrap lifting a friend. So on a message board I belong to, we are playing a game of telephone, the scrap version. So basically someone started with a sketch and she did that sketch, and then she sent a picture of her layout to someone else, and then that person did their version of the layout and then sent it on to someone else, and so on and so forth. So I only see the person in front of me's take on whatever the original sketch was, and then the person after me will only see my layout, and then at the end the person who started it will post all of the layouts, and so you can see the different variations between everyone's layouts. I know there are several Facebook and YouTube ladies who have done this particular game before. It's fun. So I'm going to go ahead, get you on fast forward. I know from the layout that was sent to me, I was super inspired to use these frames that came in my Wild Hare Kit. So I have 4 photos, and then I've got, I think, 8 frames. So they came with more, but I chose 8 because I thought that would work well with the design. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to put you on fast forward. Let's go. Okay, so when I first got my Wild Hare Kit and I saw these frames, I was immediately drawn to an idea of doing a grid layout. And when I saw the layout that is supposed to be my scrap lift, it was the perfect way to go with this particular layout. So what I'm doing is 4 of these frames will have photos behind them, and you'll see I'm just applying a line of ATG along that thicker part of the frame, and then using my scissors to trim out the other 3 sides, or all 4 sides, but the 3 sides as well. And I did trim one a little too close. And my plan was just, you know what, I'll just embellish right there. And truthfully, I forgot about it, and it's so not noticeable that I didn't even realize I'd forgotten all about it until I started watching the video back. So this first one, I go ahead and run a line of glue. The rest of them, I'm going to skip ahead because it's super repetitive of me doing the exact same thing. But after that first one, I decide to hold off on gluing the top parts down just until I reach the end so I can do it assembly line style rather than individually. So now all of my photos are put behind. I have 3 darker photos and then that 1 lighter photo. So I was very cognizant of using that dark gray frame for the lighter photo for contrast, because if I tried to do that with the dark night sky, that frame would totally get lost because I am going to end up using a dark background. Now, I apologize. I have done this this voiceover 3 times now. I have my dog, Sadie, on my lap, and I don't know if you can hear Xanthi in the background. She's being an obnoxious twit tonight. She will not leave Sadie alone, which is why Sadie is on my lap. So if you hear her being obnoxious in the background, I apologize. I really cannot do this voiceover again. I'm ready to go insane. That you just saw was my housemate's finger. She did not realize I was videotaping, so she decided to point out that she liked that photo of my nephew. And I'm like, you do know I'm videotaping? And she's like, oh, I didn't realize. I'm like, there are 2 bright lights pointed at my scrapbooking, which I only put on if I'm filming, so I don't know why you wouldn't have noticed those, but anyways, I thought that was a fun tangent. Okay, moving on. All right, as you can see, I'm doing the same with these pieces of pattern paper that I did with the photos, and once again, I just skipped ahead once you saw me do it. Now I'm just going to go ahead and clean up my desk of all these little bits of pieces of paper because now I'm looking at what I want for my background, and I'm a bit undecisive about this. I'm not sure if I want to use the white cardstock or if I want to use that black wood grainy chevron pattern. And so what I end up doing is I take half of my frames and I put them on the white paper, and then I take the other half of the frames and I put them on the black paper to try to see what will work best for the look I'm going for. Now, I love that diagonal striped navy and white paper in the background. And I like it with the white cardstock. But with the frames and the look I'm going for, I definitely prefer the darker cardstock. But with the chevron, I don't love the look of that diagonal stripe at the top with that. And it's just one of those things where it kind of makes my eyes go a wee bit nutty. So I don't want to have my eyes drawn to the upper portion of the layout as opposed to the photographs. But when I'm laying that down and seeing if I want the white cardstock as a background or the diagonal stripe, I realize that if I can't, that white paper along the top of the black chevron, it provides a resting place for my eyes because I don't actually mind the diagonal stripe on the left hand side because the diagonal stripe is going in the same direction as the beginning of that chevron. Not if I put it this way, but once I flip it correctly, you'll see that the diagonal stripe is carried on from the diagonal stripe into that chevron. But along the top, because the chevron is a V, it doesn't match up that same way. I then remember, aha, I actually have a scrap of 12 by, I think that's an inch and a half or 2 inches, something like that. And rather than burn an entire piece of 12 by 12, I'll just go ahead and use that. Yay me! Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get my ATG, use my ATG to get that piece of paper glued down. Wow, the words, they are not wanting to come, are they? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue down on two sides of this black chevrony paper. And then I'm going to trim out from the back. Well, okay, sorry. First, I'm going to trim off the extra paper so it is a 12 by 12. So I have to trim off a little bit of the white on the top and then a little bit of the black from the back. So that gray on white camera, that's the backside of the navy and white diagonal stripe. So what I'm going to do, and I am going to cut away from it, is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim a whole bunch of it, probably around 8 by 8, because I just didn't want to waste it, because as I said, I really do love that navy and white diagonal stripe. So now I am all set with my background and I'm going to place my framed photos and pattern paper back, and I think this is how they end up. I don't think I move them anymore. No, I don't. Now I'm adding some embellishments and not everything is going to, I'm not going to glue things down right this second. I'm just going to kind of make a decision on like first layer of embellishments. So I pull from the Explore the Ordinary die cut pack that I added to this kit, that Pursue Magic hexagon, and then that camera. And then from this, I believe this is the Amy Tangerine Hustle and Heart thickers, but don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it is. So I pull those two arrows, and then I'm going to pull my title, which is very simply Yay. 99% of the time, I love my titles and I think I'm pretty good at them. And then that 1%, I'm just kind of like, you know what? We're just gonna go with Yay. It totally works. And then I also pull from that foam thicker pack, that white asterisk. I'm also pulling from my little envelope O embellishments that layered heart die cut, and that is also from Pink Fresh Studio. And then this flare, and that is from the Dear Lizzie Stargazer line. Now that layered heart, it's really cute. It's a blue heart, and then layered over is a patterned vellum, and then it's stitched down the middle. Now you know I bought it that way because there's stitching on it, and I don't do the stitching. I'm sorry, just not me. And one of the last things I'm going to add is that red chipboard piece, and that says, "You are my favorite," I think. I'm not totally sure. There's a close-up of it in the close-up photos at the end, so if you desperately need to know what it says and you can't read it, my preview screen is much smaller than what you guys can watch it. But there is a photo of it at the end. I'm going to use my T-square ruler to line all of these up, and then, as I said, I'm going forward and gluing each one down as I get it down, and ta-da, I fast forwarded and everything is glued down, and I've started gluing down my embellishments. So I'm going to go ahead and get down these die cuts, which, as I said, I'm using as my first layer, and then I still haven't finished gluing down all the tops of everything. I apologize. I thought I had cut this part out because it's super redundant. So, but apparently that was a no. All right. I get that chipboard piece glued down and my little layered heart. I am going to add a third red thing because I've got that frame and then I have the chipboard piece. So I'm going to add this chipboard geotag as well. And that just, I like to have, if I'm going to introduce a bright color, I like to have at least 3 pieces of it, just because otherwise your eye is directly drawn right to the one piece that is that one color. So by moving it around the page, I do a little bit get your eye to move. There's also the red in that firework and the red of the Spider-Man in one of the photos with my nephew. Now I've got a couple of smaller embellishments coming in. I have that heart from Amy Tangerine, and oh, actually a couple. I have one small embellishment coming in. I'm going to finish up this layout with 2 different things. I'm going to do my journaling on that yellow striped paper, and I'm just writing about my nephew really enjoys this particular fair. I don't know if it's whether it's hanging out with his cousins or if it's, the fireworks, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And I'm going to finish that off with these Ellie Studio Alpha stickers, and I'm just putting the year down there at the bottom of the journaling. One last thing I'm going to do is add some Heidi Swap Gold Color Shine in mists in a diagonal from the upper left down to the bottom right. And I'm just doing that. It takes me a while to get it shaken up, so I cut away from that for a little bit. So that is going to be my layout today. Thank you guys so much for joining me here. If you could flick me a thumbs up, that would be super awesome. And click that subscribe button if you want to see more videos from me. Have a great day, everyone. Bye!